Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Kristopher Kolumbus Jr, released in 1939. It's the 242nd in the series and it's directed by Bob Clampett. You can find this on the Porky Pig 101 DVD set in a, well, semi-restored state. I have upconverted it to HD quality to give it, I guess, an approximation of what it would look like in HD quality. In case you haven't seen this short, as it is under copyright, so I can't show you the full thing here, but Porky Pig plays Kristopher Kolumbus Jr, who sets out to prove that the world is round to Queen Isabella, and ends up discovering the New World, and brings back the Native Americans back to the Queen's chamber. So first up, you're going to hear the original audio commentary, re-edited, so thanks to my good friend Blue Genocide for doing that for me, as I had to take down the original full track from YouTube. And then you hear some new thoughts from me as well, so grab some popcorn and enjoy the voyage. So right away, if you've watched one of my recent commentaries, the Porky's Movie Mystery, it starts off roughly the same way, where, you know, Porky's introduced as another character, and this leads me to believe that Clampett was probably getting, well, I guess kind of sick of working with Porky, because that's all he's been doing. I mean, yes, you've got Daffy Duck, but there must have been a stipulation to include Porky as well. And I'm not going to address the whole issue with Kristopher Kolumbus in this commentary. There's plenty of things written up about it. It's definitely, I guess he's definitely more of a problematic figure these days, so I'll leave it to you guys to research that. One of my favourite gags like that, it's like, yep, if only it were that easy to use the stars. Wow, 24 cents for Manhattan Island, and even with inflation, that's definitely a bargain. Try our dandruff cure. One scalp treatment lasts a lifetime. See, sadly, I've got severe dandruff, just, you know, so if that works, you know, count me in. This is a weird gag. Excursion to see the white men for 50 cents, and it's like a steamboat. There's one shot here which I thought was absolutely amazing. I mean, look at that. It's like you've got these giant buildings, but they're shaped like teepees. Now imagine if there was an alternate reality where there was, you know, the Native Americans, they just had big cities and it's shaped like that. Here's a good callback. So those were my original thoughts at the time, and it's nice to revisit some of these ones again, especially now that I've improved the picture quality somewhat. But in any case, it's nice to see Porky being more prominent again after being put on the sidelines within his own shorts by Bob Clampett. I do enjoy seeing how Clampett gets around his little restriction in having to use Porky all the time at this point. Now again, I'm not going to get into the controversies surrounding the figure depicted, which is Kristopher Kolumbus, as there are plenty of other videos and books that go way more deeply into the topic. But for those of you who are younger, and just to put things into some sort of context, the history of the world at that time was essentially based around what the Europeans had conquered. So you had the history that Kristopher Columbus discovered America, when in fact, well, it was already quote-unquote discovered by the natives who had been there for thousands of years, and the Norse Vikings even had so-called, you know, quote-unquote discovered parts of Northern America way before Columbus ever did. And, you know, even here in Australia, you know, we had an indigenous population existing for about 10,000 or so years, but yeah, it's said that Captain James Cook, arriving in 1788, that discovered Australia. So for those of you who may not be aware, and like, why would they do a cartoon based on this figure? And it's no fault of Clampett for doing this idea for a short, as, you know, he's only just going by what was considered to be history at the time, which was, you know, pretty whitewashed. But let's focus on the short. Now, just a couple of references. Look, first of all, Queen Isabella. Yes, she was Queen Isabella I. She was indeed a real person who helped sponsor Kristopher Columbus's journey to the New World. Though I'm pretty sure she didn't have those dance moves at the end. I mean, that's just a hunch, of course. She did, however, give Columbus jewels to fund the expedition, although I'm pretty sure it's not the jewels as depicted in this short. We also get another "How do you do" gag, which is a reference to the Burt Gordon character, the Mad Russian from Radio around that time, which I'm pretty sure people watching at the time would have gotten a big kick out of that.
How do you do?
And the dance at the end is the jitterbug, which Clamp had already used in Chicken Jitters around the beginning. And yeah, it's not hard to see why. The dance was huge around this time. I gotta say, I love the song at the beginning, which sets things up pretty nicely. And that is called Let That Be a Lesson to You, which is from the Bubsy Berkeley Warner Brothers movie called Hollywood Hotel that was released in 1937. Gotta say, very, very catchy.
Columbus did discover our America. He sailed the sea in 1492. Anchors away, but the good Queen Isabella, she found a more attractive fella. Christy wound up sitting in the juggeroo.
I also like the neat touch with the multiple styles of music that's played when we see the ball come back into Porky's hand after travelling around the world. As for the gags in this short, I guess you might say it's a little bit hit or miss, though thankfully for me, a lot of them were hit, but your mileage may vary, and I've seen a few people who think this is more miss than hit, but again, you know, everyone's different, of course. I really enjoyed the crowd scene, how we get a nice little payoff at the end with that, as I mentioned in the original commentary. The man or mice gag, fantastic. I thought that was a great little gag, gave me a bit of a chuckle there.
What are you? Men or mice?
And of course, all those anachronistic gags, like when the ship sails out and when the stars point to America and that sort of thing. You know, I like that sort of stuff. But for some people, they may not like it. I do, so. I gotta say, the last part with the Native Americans is rather interesting in that, okay, yes, they're drawn rather stereotypically, and there are stereotypical behaviours that they're always holding a tomahawk and that sort of stuff. But it was interesting that they actually have their own version of the Statue of Liberty. They have a big TP city, and you get a nice flip on the narrative with the excursion to see the white man. So it's like a total opposite to what was established. So I didn't think it was that funny, per se, but I just thought it was rather interesting to see that sort of thing in a cartoon from 1939. And of course, yeah, not everything works in this short. I do happen to agree with that. The sea serpent gag goes on a bit too long, and I get what he was trying to do, but yeah, it didn't work for me, and it didn't help that Mel Blanc did this stereotypical accent of that serpent.
I'm a big serpent in the sea. I big serpent in the sea.
But anyway, it is what it is. That's just my opinion on it. So in the end, look, I'll give this one about a 6 out of 10. It's nothing special, but there are a few good laughs to be had here. Despite, you know, if you look past the imagery, of course, and the topical matter there. As is typical for a Clampett short around this time, the animation is top notch, and the music is great as well. So I'd say it's worth watching, but yeah, just be mindful of those things I mentioned. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.